friends. Welcome to the comic book read. I am Kara / Kara Zor-El. Okay, so what we're gonna read today. Oh my gosh, I love this. I'm looking up some 80s synthwave for my movie that I'm making. Hello. Hello, hi everybody. Welcome. Happy Saturday night. I am Kara Zor-El. I was just watching some Supergirl animated stuff before joining you guys, and I was like, oh my gosh, are people rah sayonara punch. Hello, welcome you guys. Rashid, I hope you guys are having a good night. So we're gonna do a late night read of this, a little bit of a recap first, and then we're gonna jump right into it. Yes, I am Supergirl. I was trying to find like a theme. There's the Superman theme, but I picked some 80s synthwave. Okay, I'm gonna try to see if... Thanks you guys for joining. I was finding this thing about... Man, I got into like this whole rabbit hole looking up stuff about Supergirl. The Arrowverse version. And also just the fact that there are multiple versions of Supergirl. Is this a teaser trailer? Millie Alcock. Is she the dragon chickie? Because that could work.
The universe will kneel before me. I fight for those who can't. I fight because I must.
I guess they made her British.
No matter where I go, I carry hope with me.
Is this a real trailer? At least it's not a real trailer. I got fooled again. So, like sometimes there's lots of like trailers on YouTube. I'm like, is this a real movie? I don't know. Is there another Supergirl movie coming out? Anyways, regardless, it does look like from the future. So I'm going to today's going to be a special read, you guys. Thank you guys for joining me for this late night read. Hold on a second, friends. Hi, Moses. Yes, so sorry about that, guys. Perky Luck, I don't know. There used to be a Supergirl TV show. Like, is the CW show done? Is that one complete? Also, I know that the CW, I haven't watched any of those. Most of my Supergirl intel comes from comic books themselves, as opposed to any movies or live action, besides like the 80s Supergirl movie. But what we're going to do this evening is we're going to do a special read. We're actually going to be doing a read of Alan Moore's For the Man Who Has Everything. Okay, so we will, hold on a second. I just want to make sure that I have, oh my goodness. I'm just checking some things first, you guys. I hope you're doing well as well. Music. Okay, I'm not going to mess with it. How is it so much better for you? I don't know what you mean by that. Perky Luck. Then soup starts hitting in Jimmy Olsen. Does it sound better, this mic, you guys? So I have a few mics that I use, and each of them have like different levels and stuff. So, oh yeah, I like this. This one's my favorite one. This one's attached to my whole little setup here. I'm not going to move around my whole setup right now because I'm in my little pod, typically my Oracle Batgirl pod, but Barbara's letting me use it today. So hello friends, I am Kara Zor-El. I was watching some animated clips where Brainiac kept on calling her Kara as opposed to Kara. I'm like, I don't know how you guys pronounce it, Kara or Kara, or however. I read from hell and do the accents. Chris, oh my goodness, I don't know how good my British accent is, you guys. I feel like Supergirl works with a British accent, if this is truly the trailer for it. I mean, we went through, oh, thank you. This costume is very much a very, Miko GBA, thank you so much. It's, Larry, it's Kara, right? As opposed to Kara, I think. And I think that intonation makes sense, right? Because Kara, so you have Ra in it, meaning sun, like the sun god. So I think there's like an ode there to the fact that she gets her power from the yellow solar sun. So today's read is going to be a very special one, just because, are you guys familiar with Alan Moore's series of Superman comics? If not, no worries. I'm going to let you guys know why I find it special. It's Lara Croft while we're at it. I love Lara. So it's not Lara Croft. It's Lara. Yeah, that's, you know what? I think you're right. My sister does a great Lara Croft cosplay, actually. I love Lara Croft. She's one of my video game hotties. I'm currently beaming in from Toronto, Ontario, which ironically enough, Joe Shuster created Superman and thus Supergirl and Krypton itself, right? Along with Jerry Siegel, and Joe Shuster's actually from here in Toronto. So there's a fun little, like, I guess some synchronicity there in terms of like telling you guys these stories. So Supergirl is, as you guys know on my channel, I have quite a few characters that I cosplay as. I cosplay as characters in comic books that I personally have found resonance with, and so characters that I see or I've learned a lot from or find inspiration from. And Kara Zor-El, the last daughter of Krypton, has quite a few origin stories and quite a few, I would say, story arcs, including Crisis on Infinite Earths in 1985. So April 1985, Supergirl died, right? They killed her off for a few reasons, right? Mainly to kind of clean up the multiverse. And I was being authentic. Oh, good. I know you were, Chris, because it all matters, right? Because the intonation and vibration of how you say things, sometimes it's, when you read comic books and in your head, you're saying these words, and it's quite a different thing when I try to say it out loud. So I've learned a lot in reading these comic books out loud. Miko, are you, where in Canada are you from? I'm originally from the prairies, so Winnipeg, Manitoba, and I moved out here to Toronto 2008 or so. Do you cosplay a cook? I don't know. Not recently. I mean, I'm more of a baker, I would say. I like baking things as opposed to cooking. Hubby usually does most of like the cooking. I do like salads and stuff and sides. When trying to communicate the meaning is different, for sure. I forget, like, what was that movie? Austin Powers, like the wrong emphasis on the syllable, right? So it changes the way a word is going to sound depending on where the emphasis is and like intonation is, even like especially in a name, right? Like Kristen versus Kirsten, those make huge differences. Or even Hercules, they named Hercules after Hera, ironically enough, because like Hera and Zeus, and you guys know that I love Greek myth. And I consider comic books as like a modern way of us understanding ancient archetypes, right? Just in like a new kind of way. Hi, Stephen, Ernest. So I thank you guys for joining me. This is the weekend read, so my weekend schedule tends to be all over the place. But I tend to read you guys stories that I think deserve to be let out into the wild again. So I'll let you guys into what we're going to be reading this evening. I'm starting quite late, and I don't really want to go to like 4 in the morning. It's like 2 a.m. here. So Amityville, hello, hi, welcome. So what's coming up? This I'm going to read you guys is, this is a series, actually, before I get started, this is from the library. I got this comic book in addition to, where did you go? Where did you go? I love me. Hey, J.R. Mercer from Pickering. I am also in Ontario. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I am in comment. Oh, that's really sweet. You guys, though, too. I have to tell you, so, like, growing up, my dad was a professor in computer science, so me and my sister grew up with a lot of things like video games and like a lot of like tomboyish things, let's say, growing up in the prairies and like riding your bikes and like playing outside and stuff. So like I had a very like my childhood, because I'm turning 40 next year, you guys. So and I just like broke free of the corporate world to like pursue my own creative endeavors, right? But this is all just a sign for you guys too, as well, as it comes to the cosmos and the stars right now, that we really are being called to being who you really are. So I mean, like when I was in the corporate world, I ended up with like dreams that weren't mine, right? Like promotion, the next raise, all this kind of stuff. And then like realizing that taxes takes away like 50% of everything. Yes. I'm not 40 yet. I'm 39 right now. So I'm going to be 40 next year. And I've never been so comfortable at where I am in my own story, right? I think that that's something, like I think that I talk to my girlfriends and there's a lot of discomfort, let's say, because I'm a lot older than my girlfriends. Like a lot of my girlfriends are much younger than me. So like most of them I would say are in their early 30s, late 20s. I do have I have 2 sections of girlfriends. I have my girlfriends who are like my older ladies who like from fitness, who don't look like they're that age. So they're like in their like 45 to 55, but they look much younger. And then I have my much younger girlfriends from like dance class and stuff who always think that I'm like also 28, but I'm like, I am not 28. I'm like 39. So some of your same drama doesn't make sense to me. So I try to be like a big sister energy, try to like, do a service to a lot of the guy friends in my life. I've always had a lot of guy friends just because of playing video games and being into comics and being into things that are like boyish, but I'm still like a girl. So I relate a lot to like the girl in the team in a lot of ways, because I'm like the best girlfriend, right? And even I've been reconnecting with a lot of friends from Winnipeg and coming back to Winnipeg hopefully during Christmas time. And if you're in Winnipeg, I'd love to like see if I'm trying to turn this show into more of like a live action kind of thing, and maybe want to do a tour to different comic book stores and do like live cosplay readings for certain books and stuff. I have to see like if there's copyright issues or anything like that, but I'm sure there wouldn't be any issue like that. Miko, yeah, you have to always follow your passion, and you know what, following your heart, right? Following your true heart's purpose, or your soul mission is what I like to call it, is not as easy as it sounds. It sounds really poetic and beautiful, right, for us to talk about it, but like in practice, when you're trying to pay bills, when you're trying to like survive in the matrix, it's not that easy, right? Especially since, we live in a place that is so devoid of a lot of the more mystical and magical aspects of life, right? Everything's so like scienced down, and it's interesting because we're going to get into the read just a bit. I'm going to tell you why I picked this particular read. It's because Alan Moore I was originally actually getting this, Promethea book 5. So I was gifted Promethea books 1 through 4 from a girlfriend of mine who is in my Dragon Warriors book. And she's from a place in Russia, like near Kazakhstan. I can't say that country's name properly. But she moved here when she was quite young. But she's an interesting astro stack, right? She's an Aries, but she has a Scorpio moon and a Scorpio rising. So although being an Aries has this lens of being much more like intense and seeing under the surface. All things being said, she received these 4 books of Promethea from a fellow patient when she was, they thought that she was psychotic, going through a certain trauma thing, and they put her in a mental institution when she was quite young. So going through that, she was gifted these comic books, and they were gifted from a man who was actually from the Philippines, and I'm half Filipino. So I'm just saying, like, this is all like weird synchronicities and how comic books are whole worlds. And I'm sure you guys have had comic books as well that were gifted to you or inherited to you or found you in some sort of way. And not just comic books. This comes in other forms too, like a CD, a mixtape, or a movie that someone introduces to you, right? It's like they're introducing to you a whole new world. So she gifted me Promethea books 1 through 4. I knew about Alan Moore prior to reading Promethea because of Watchmen. I love Watchmen and V for Vendetta, as well as Swamp Thing. So I was very much aware of Alan Moore. I think of him as like a wizard, kind of like who's like retreated out to the mountains somewhere, and has spoken a lot of how I love Promethea. Oh yeah, so Promethea, this is what was gifted to me from her. And when I was reading it, I tripped the F out, you guys. So first of all, just the concept of Promethea, right? She's a living story, and how she transforms, how one transforms is by doing something creative. You write her into life. You embody her. And so there's a truth to that, right? Because when you think of characters like Batman, Superman, Supergirl, these are mantles. Even in the comic books, that's why they have multiverses. There are different versions of the mantle, right? And we can think of this archetype from an archetype perspective, and also from a perspective of there can be different lenses. So even in Promethea, you have different types of Promethea based on whose imagination is whose imagination you're working with. And that's similar to like Phoenix Force, right, in Marvel, because how Phoenix interfaces with different entities or different beings is going to be like what that expression is. Turn me on to Kabbalah. Yeah, and there's so much in this, you guys. So I'm into Astro, right? And Promethea, there's so much embedded on it. And so fun fact, you guys, at 3:33 a.m. last Thursday, I was reading a snippet from this Promethea, and TikTok restricted me. So I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is, so tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a Promethea deep dive. We're going to start from book 1. We're not going to read the whole thing because it's very dense. We're going to read what I do a lot of astrology, right, and tarot reading. So I'm going to pull from books 1 to 5, including this one, keys, like what I think Alan Moore is trying to say about the 32nd path and what it means to come to the end of the world that Promethea is a part of. And the fact that it's not anything to be scared of, right? Especially if it's a world that has previously provided a lot of limitations to magic, right? Oh, thank you. So that is going to be tomorrow. I'm going to have that scheduled up. I'm going to do a free reading, like a tarot reading, or rather a collective reading from 11 p.m. to midnight. And then from midnight on, I'm going to do subscribers only, and we're going to do a deep dive into Promethea. So that's tomorrow. It's a good way. It's going to like a midnight cusping into Monday, Magic Monday, right? We'll do that, and then we're also going to read a snippet from Dune. So Muad'Dib, there's a beautiful section at the back here. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dune and the Bene Gesserit ritual of the spice agony, right? When they drink the water of life. There's a beautiful panel here of Jessica when it illustrates how she goes through that, right? And she's looking through her whole ancestry. and all of that. Yes, so we'll read this in conjunction to Promethea tomorrow. It's kind of like a magical book club thing. So like people ask me all the time, like, what nonfiction books do you read? You know, because like I'm big into like the mysteries. I love Greek myth. I love like all of that kind of fun magical stuff. And I'm like, dude, like I'm not gonna read like Tony Robbins or self-help books or like biopics. I am way more interested in like Dune and like Dragonlance and Star Wars and all of that kind of stuff, because all of those fun fantastical stories tell you so much more about the nature of reality than any of these like non-fiction real books. Same thing goes with like news stories, right? I'd rather, you know, deep dive in like, how do I become a Bene Gesserit, right? Okay, so yes, dude mentioned, how much is the sub? Yes, I feel like it's like on TikTok it's like $3 something, and I think there's like a deal on it. If you can't afford the subscription, I'm organizing all of my stuff, calling it the Cosmic Comic Book Club Library, so that all of the reads you can get later. But I am going to try to organize a little bit more of like book clubs where we actually talk. So if you guys have all pre-read certain stories, such as Crisis on Infinite Earths or Promethea, or even certain storylines like the Green Lantern, War of Light kind of stuff, the Book of OA, and interfacing that with other mediums, right? So OA, right? The TV show OA, and the fact that there's OA in the Green Lanterns, and thinking about like Malthusians, the fact that there's there's a lot of stuff. Eddie, do I speak Spanish? Oh no, I speak a tiny bit of French. But you know what? In my past life, I worked for a big consulting firm, and I managed 137 countries. And it's really funny because even though I spoke English, I spoke to a lot of countries that like English was not their first language, and we seemed to communicate just fine. Because there are more ways to communicate besides like the actual words, and we can kind of like that's why, like how Shakespeare says, right? Name, what's in a name? A rose by any other name smells just as sweet. So we live in a time right now, like 1984, right? Like language and all this other stuff. Like, for example, hoverboard. My hubby always talks about this. Like, he loves like this concept of having a hoverboard from Back to the Future. So we have hoverboards, but they're not actually hoverboards, right? Thanks, Eddie. So oh my gosh, I'm gonna get to the actual read, because I always spend time talking to you guys and then I don't get into what I actually wanted to give you guys. Thanks, Donnie Goo Goo. Oh my goodness, that's very sweet. I'm working on my own little mini movies just based on comic books, with me playing myself, and like Batgirl and Supergirl, for example. I have a couple of cute interactions between the two of them. It would be my dream if there was like a Batgirl Supergirl movie, because it's interesting, right? Because Supergirl is technically older than Superman, right? She's his older cousin, and so like the big sister energy, I vibe with that. But even though knowing that like and this is a truth to, I think, women that's been lost in the whole feminist movement, that some of our greatest accomplishments is to be the support to a hero, a man who can like, protect you and change the world, right? And in doing so, like, you also change the world, right? Who's my favorite Marvel character? So Supergirl's not Marvel, right? But if I had to choose Marvel, my favorite Marvel character is probably Captain America. I do love Jean Grey for very different reasons. No worries. I don't care about that, but some people get, my sister, for example, she is very like DC purist. She doesn't read Marvel. DC only, except she likes Thor only because she likes the Norse mythology and she loves like Baldur's Gate and stuff. She keeps on telling me to play Baldur's Gate because I used to love reading all of the Dragonlance and like Forgotten Realms books, but I haven't gotten around to it. RPG games are a lot of time investment, and I've been busy working on my own RPG game and comic book and all that stuff. So she's stronger in some versions due to longer exposure to the sun. Yes, 100%, Stephen. So earlier today, I was doing a little bit of a deep dive into Supergirl's origin stories, and her origins tend to be all over the place. When I first started reading comic books live on TikTok, I started with this story. Where did you go? I have too many comic books, you guys. Is that such a thing? We'll do a tour of all my comic books one day. So I have this, like Crisis on Infinite Earth. This was the first story that I read you guys live. I've been working on some replays of it to get pieces of it. So in this story, right, Supergirl dies and Flash dies. Spoiler alert. Now this book by Alan Moore, I read you guys here, like Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. I'll read you guys the intro to it because it's a beautiful intro about the fact that how powerful the stories of the imagination truly are, right? So in this, Supergirl dies. Yes, Thor's great. I love Thor too. I do love the Norse myth. One of my favorite goddesses of all time is actually Freya. I mean, like, they always say that Odin's wife is Frigg, but I like to think of her as Freya. And Freya translates to lady, right? And like goddess of magic, she's the one who teaches Odin magic. So it's like there's a lot of fun stuff there. And as I said, all these stories, right, I think it's important, like just like with Supergirl, she's got like 3 different origin stories. So it's not, you can't say like one of them is not true, right? They're all true. So that's similar to like how, like, for example, Venus, her birth, there's multiple renditions to it. So all of those versions can be true. And that's how we deal with like multiverses. And Friday from Freya, that's 100%. And like Freya's equivalencies are goddesses like Venus, Aphrodite, Hathor, Inanna, Venus, Isis. Like there's all the equivalencies, right? Many names to mean the same energy, right? So when it comes to Supergirl, she's got different versions too, right? I've been working on recently, like the white shirt Supergirl, Linda Lee. And I found out recently that the reason why that happened, and I think it's before the events of Crisis. Because what Crisis does is it strove to clean up the multiverse, right? Because when Flash, discovered the fact that there were multiverses in the DC universe, it opened up this whole world to have like Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 3. Like Earth 2, Huntress, is actually Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle's daughter. So like Helena Wayne, where in all other Birds of Prey iterations, it's Helena Bertinelli, and she's not Batman's daughter. But that's all to say that like in one version, she exists that way, right? And just like Superman from Earth 2, after the events of this, when all the infinite Earths kind of conglomerate into one Earth, Superman from Earth 2 is like, oh my gosh, my Earth is gone. But I still have all these memories of everyone that existed there. So because he goes into the Daily Planet, he's like, this isn't my Daily Planet, and you're not my Lois, and you're not my Perry, right? And so like, but they do him a favor, right? They save his Lois from Earth 2 because he deserves it. He's Superman. But because he remembers that Earth, does that mean that Earth never existed? No, because there's stories that exist of that. And I think in understanding that, there's a tell to our own hidden history of us as human beings. There's only so much that like the history books tell us. There's only and the point is for all of us to be a little bit less like tied to one iteration, right? I have grown up a lot in my 39 years to not be so like attached to a version of the story, and to be able to like let another version be told and not emotionally get triggered by it, and instead be like, oh, okay, I didn't see things in that kind of way before, and I'm going to take on certain things that I find, Oh, thanks, JR Merger. I just love comic books a lot. I took English literature in university, right? So I look at comic books up there on that level as worthy of analysis and discussion, right? Because comic books didn't exist as a medium till like this century. So it is a new medium for this new world, and just another way, like hieroglyphics, through pictures and, you know, the words, the magic of the word itself, you know, tell it. Madoralian. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. I can't even say that word. Awed by nothing. I am very real. I love comics as well. I have a huge room full of stuff. Oh, I love that, J-Mags. Yeah. So I will say this. For a little while, I lost myself. I'm going to close this book, and then we're going to get into the read. I promise. We're looming towards 3 a.m. too. Too many comic books. Da, 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 da. Okay, I also have this, which I need to do some rereading of the Bombshells universe, but that's for another time. Oh, goody! Yay for subscriptions. So, you guys, I'm gonna have some subscription-only reads for certain spicier comic books, because the TikTok algorithm, you know, like regardless of context, if you say certain words, it just like triggers it, right? So thanks. Oh yes, I love Bombshells. And Bombshells in there too. There's a tell there at the end about anchor points and multiverses, right? So I read comic books as a way to understand things on an etheric level, because how should I put it this way? I was lost for a while, you guys. So I moved to Toronto like in 2007. I was a personal trainer. TikTok. I'm not going to say the TikTok trigger words, Ken, because then TikTok will be like, look, you're saying it again. I just have to work on some code words to talk about it. But I was reading, I've realized it's when I'm reading more of the spicier comics. So like Doomsday Clock triggered TikTok a lot. So did Promethea. And there's another one that triggered the TikTok a lot. We're 6 months after. I'm originally from Winnipeg, and you know what? Toronto's changed a lot in the last couple years. It's not the city that I first moved to. Jay, when were you here? When were you in Toronto for a little while? We have like Taylor Swift here, and they like shut down a street for her and like named a street after her as well. I'm like, okay. I remember when there was much music on Queen Street, and we used to have like, I used to live in Winnipeg and like would look longingly at Much Music and be like, one day I'm gonna come out to 93. Okay, man, that must have been a different time. 93. Was Government still around then? Because I used to go dance with the Government back in the day. Yeah, Speaker's Corner. Yes, and Electric Circus. I was like, one day I'm gonna come down to Toronto and be an so I want to start my own Electric Circus, you guys. I know Government's not around anymore. I know it's sad. I know they gave Armin van Buren a piece of the floor, but I got to dance in Government. I got to dance for like Tiesto and like David Guetta and that kind of stuff. I don't even think it's a Loblaws, Jay Mercer. The Loblaws was next to Government. I remember that because when they would fake make you stay outside and wait in line, you would see the Loblaws there. I think it's just a parking lot now, which is kind of sad. Yes, I'm very close to 40. Yeah, I thank my parents for that. People used to think that my dad was like my brother for a very long time. So there's that. Okay, guys, so what we're reading tonight, I was going into Crisis for this reason, because this was something that came out in the 80s, and when I was looking up Supergirl's origins, so after Supergirl died here, Marv Wolfman and George Perez, they're also the creators of Nightwing, if you guys didn't know that. I have a big crush on Nightwing. I love Dick Grayson. Just love. And there's actually also a comic book, I'm trying to find it, of Supergirl going on a date with Nightwing that goes horribly. And it's told from the perspective of Supergirl talking to Superman and Nightwing talking to Batman about like how awful the date went. But oh my gosh. Okay, so this Supergirl dies 1985. Marv Wolfman says that the reason for doing this is that they wanted to make Superman the sole survivor of Krypton, so that there was more weight to his story. And I kind of understand that, because even Supergirl's origins, when you look into it in the beginning, they're kind of like sketchy, right? They're kind of like, okay, so Zor-El, who is Jor-El, so the Superman's uncle, which is my dad, Kara's dad, he, I think they get the shrunken city, right? So they end up being saved in some sort of way. And so Kara gets sent to the solar system, to Earth, when she's about a teenager. And then there's all this other renditions about how she comes to becoming Supergirl, right? One, that like you have like Superman who's like super like overprotective. Two, she trains with Wonder Woman and Themyscira. But all of this is to say is that Supergirl has a very different experience coming to being a hero, right? Whereas Superman was like raised as like a human, right? Supergirl has memories of Krypton, and that is why I'm reading you guys what I'm reading you today. In this comic book, so this is a series of stories written by Alan Moore about Superman. Now, Superman as an archetype, right? My sister, for example, like he's her favorite superhero ever, because he is the archetype of good, like goodness. And there's in Doomsday Clock, Dr. Manhattan is so intrigued by Superman because, you know, the Watchmen universe doesn't really have, it's very nihilistic, right? So he comes to the DC universe to understand, to investigate what is this? Like, why, what makes Superman Superman? Because it's more than powers, right? And Supergirl and Batgirl have many conversations where Batgirl goes through, you know, hard times, and she goes like, well, like, maybe I'm not cut out to do this. I don't have any powers. And Supergirl will always tell her, like, it's more than powers that makes you a hero, right? And just because you have powers, that doesn't necessarily does that mean you become a hero, right? Oh yeah, you know what, Batman, there's a beautiful, I'm going to revisit this a little bit later, but there's a beautiful part in Bombshells, because in the Bombshells universe, in this iteration of Bruce Wayne's parents don't die, right? So the interesting thing about Batman, right, is that the moment that makes Batman Batman is one of trauma, right? His parents are killed, so he transmutes that and becomes Batman. So what happens in a universe where you have a Bruce Wayne who does not lose his parents, and in fact grows up in like a happy home environment where he's not pushed to becoming Batman? So in this case, you have a Catwoman who's aware of other universes and knows that every universe needs a Batman, and so she trains this Bruce Wayne to be Batman for different reasons other than his parents dying, right? So it's just all to say, like, in different timelines and iterations, just that how different impetuous points happen, or things have always happened, right? Not in this timeline, but have always happened, kind of thing. While Superman is iconic, I think a tad overrated. You know, it's interesting though, because I feel like there's more to the super family than is oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought, because the reason why I'm reading you guys this is exactly what you were saying, that there's something about like feeling like Superman's just overpowered. But it's why Lex Luthor is probably one of the most powerful villains as well. He's like of an equal stature to counter it, right? But you know what, I'm not gonna keep talking. I'm gonna get right into the read, and I picked this read just because it's this one. I don't know if you guys have ever read it. It's For the Man Who Has Everything. I'm going to skip, like, Alan Moore seems to really love Swamp Thing, so the second story here is about the Swamp Thing and Superman crossover. But I'm going to read you the intro about imaginary stories, and then we're going to get right into the read, and then we'll do a little analysis after, and then I'll come back tomorrow and we will talk in the day. I'll see if I'll be in cosplay or not. We'll do a little Astro in the day, and then later on, as I said, we'll do 11/11. We'll do a little card reading for each of the signs, and then we'll go right into Promethea and Dune at midnight for subscribers only. Who is my fave Supergirl? You know what? I actually like the animated versions of her the most. But I will say, if like in terms of actress, I do like the 80s version of her, how they did her. As well as, actually I like all of them. Like Melissa, who plays her on the CW version, I think is a cute version. Okay, I don't know how I feel about James Gunn. I like Millie Alcock though, and I like House of the Dragon. So so I'm okay with that. Let me just double check if I'm so this is right. That is the right trailer then. Do you know what storyline they're doing with this? Oh, I do like her. I like her. Rhaenyra Targaryen. I like her. But you know what? It's just like when they cast, I hope though, like just like when they cast oh my gosh, Daenerys. What's her real name? Daenerys Targaryen. They cast her as Sarah Connor in Terminator, and I'm like, that wasn't the right casting, because Daenerys, like, they tried to transfer that, like, yeah. I have not seen the Titans show though, but I've heard good things. I've only seen like snippets of it. I couldn't really get into it. Yeah, that's the thing. Like sometimes you, like Daredevil, for example, I have friends who are like really big into Daredevil, and I tried to get into it. Didn't get into it, right? So just, I think, you know what though, I will say for all of you guys, it's all about what has resonance for you. And just like no one can tell you what your favorite ice cream flavor is, no one can tell you like what you're gonna vibe with or not, right? Until you get into it. And yeah, Emilia Clarke, thank you so much. I like her a lot, but like her as Daenerys is a different thing than her not as Daenerys. And Sarah Connor is the bomb.com. I love Sarah Connor. She's one of my inspirations for working out. Is Supergirl my favorite superhero ever? You know what? I would have to say I loved She-Ra growing up in the 80s, like She-Ra and He-Man, the Princess of Power. I'm working on making her sword. I love Tarna from Heavy Metal. She's pretty cool too. Who else? There's also random other heroes I like as well. But as far as Supergirl goes and the template of being a superhero, Supergirl is my favorite. If I had to pick out of all of them, her and Batgirl are my favorites. And I love both of them for different reasons. And I actually feel like I am like both of them for different reasons. I feel like Kara because of my lineage, like my dad being South African and my mom being Filipino and growing up in the prairies, I felt like nobody else. But I was really blessed to have really good friends growing up who we all loved each other a lot, and I never felt like I was different, even though like I was. I love Barbara Gordon. I'm playing actually Arkham Knight right now, and Oracle's in that, right? It's so I'm actually gonna hopefully stream that tomorrow. I hope you guys appreciate our that's the reason why the webcam looked a little bit like low def, because I was like pulling through my Twitch stream. So if you want to catch that stream tomorrow, I'll maybe do that at some point. There's a Batgirl DLC for Arkham Knight. Is there? I was originally, you guys, playing Gotham Knights, but freaking they removed Gotham Knights off Game Pass, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was just in the middle of playing this stupid game. And I was trying to make Nightwing and Batgirl but they're just friends in that video game. They have an interesting history, the two of those two. Okay. I also have a Starfire cosplay that I'm working on. The orange part might take a little bit of like, we'll see. Lighting, I might have to work with. Okay, guys, let's get into the read. Gotham Knights is not good. I agree that Gotham Knights is not very good. Like, since playing Arkham Knight, the gameplay is much better in Arkham Knight than it is in Gotham Knights. It's, you know what I think it is? Gotham Knights is too open world. Like, I feel like there's too much of like, where am I in the map? And too many opportunities. Like, you would always get mad at me for being like, well, you didn't stop enough crime. I'm like, well, I'm sorry you didn't send me on an actual mission. Alright guys, let's go. I'm going to read you guys the intro here, and then we're going to go into the man who has everything. Okay. This is an imaginary story, which may never happen, but then again may. About a perfect man who came from the sky and did only good. It tells of his twilight, when the great battles were over and the great miracles long since performed, of how his enemies conspired against him, and of that final war in the troubled wastes beneath the northern lights, of the women he loved and the choice he made between them, of how he broke his most sacred oath, and how finally all the things he had were taken from him, except for one. It ends with a wink. It begins in a quiet Midwestern town one summer afternoon on the quiet Midwestern future. In the quiet Midwestern future. Away in the big city, people still sometimes glance up hopefully from the sidewalks, glimpsing a distant speck in the sky. But no, it's only a bird, only a plane. Superman died 10 years ago. After all, this is an imaginary story. But aren't they all? Okay, so that's the intro. I already read you guys this story of how Superman died 10 years ago. There's an interesting thing here too as well, which is why I read you guys this after Crisis, where Supergirl from the 30th century comes back and visits this time. And Superman gets choked up because, of course, Supergirl has made the ultimate sacrifice and she's gone. So I don't know how it works out how she's also alive in the 30th century. And she comes back being like, where am I in this timeline? Am I like off on some mission? He's like, yeah. So I have to look back into that. And also there's a really cool superhero called Saturn Girl from the future. And Saturn Girl is mute, right? And she can only speak to you through psychically, so telepathy. But she sounds like your own voice. So like when she talks to Supergirl, it's kind of like, am I going crazy? Am I talking to myself? You know? Haven't read... probably Batman. Haven't really read comics before. Any comic that I recommend to start with? Ooh, that's a good question. I would jump in anywhere, you guys. I feel like each comic, I would go to a real comic book store, or if you can't afford comic books, although they're cheaper these days, I go to Silver Snail here in Toronto. Go to the library and just like see what calls to you. It's been so crazy sometimes what comic books I just pick up and then I'll actually read the story, because I judge comic books by their variant covers, you guys. But you know what? That's part of divination. So you're like, oh, I just want this because the cover looks cool. And then you read the story. I'm like, oh my gosh, the story is even better. So, do you know a box of stories I never read? Are you though? A box of stories that you know what? That's the thing though. Stories require you to activate them. They require being read to bring them to life, right? Because it's like almost like a whole world waiting to be discovered kind of thing. Batman Hush. Oh yeah, Jim Lee. I love Jim Lee's art style too. And that's the thing too, like how the costumes look, how the panels are drawn, how they're, or all of that. It's a part of the magic of each comic book, how it all comes together. And for example, the piece I'm going to read you now. So the man Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. I love that you can see Crypto here. Crypto comes back too, which is great. I love how they were saying that like Crypto was just like traversing the stars. He's like, oh, I just decided to come back. A good enough explanation as any. So we are going to read this one because it has a lot of Krypton stuff in it. So it's For the Man Who Has Everything. And this one is actually illustrated by Dave Gibbons. And fun fact, Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons also wrote and illustrated Watchmen. So that's something interesting to note too with different writers of comic books, who they choose to illustrate the story that they're writing, right? So this is a different illustrator than the Alan Moore story here. And you can tell because it's just slight differences, right? So that's a fun little alchemy. Hey, Steven. See here. The first comic I brought from the comic store was the whole thing of Watchmen. Wow, that is a very ambitious first comic, Amityville. I have the whole Watchmen series as well. Greg Capullo is my favorite Batman artist. Oh yes, King Animal. Yes, Batman also is in terms of illustrators, even Batgirl, how the whole Bat family is illustrated. You have your favorites too, right? It's actually humbling when you read good literature. You know what? I think it's interesting too with words, like reading this out as well, is that someone put this out there and threw it out into the universe, right? And you caught it. And when you caught it, you know, even it's like 30 years later, it creates this circuit between time, and it's like a magic thing. So it's kind of like up to you to choose what you're going to choose to give your sacred attention to as well and give to life, right? There's book after book of things that never gets its flower. You know, I say that about songs and dances, you guys, right? Because, you know, like top 40 music, I was like always dancing to the same freaking songs by Beyonce. I'm like, there's so many songs that deserve dances to be made to them. That's like my little mission in life. Thanks, King Animal. No one might see it unless you open the pages today. Yeah, exactly. Yes, and that was my message from the universe, you guys, because no one's going to like the same things that you like, right? And like people always ask me, like, one of my girlfriends was telling me, like, do you really like the Green Lantern like lore? I'm like, yes. I do. I don't make this stuff. Like I'm just like a nerdy person, and then I just like doing research into things that I find interesting. No one tells me that one way or the other, and then it's fun when you end up meeting other people who are just naturally interested in the same things, and that's magic. That's how you find your others. That's how you find the superhero team. But this world has gotten very crafty at taking over stories and confusing people and all that kind of stuff. Like Hollywood itself is a cluster F, right? And Alan Moore himself has been quoted as saying that the comic book medium is sublime, the comic book industry is effed. And you can say that about many industries, like the beauty industry, the music industry, the movie industry. The heart and nugget and seed of all of it, though, still does remain the truth. And so we do still have these old stories, this from like 1986, that still exists now, and I haven't actually read this story, you guys, out loud. I've only read synopsises because when I was doing research into Krypton, because I'm a nerd, this story is one that's cited a lot. Oh, thank you, Angel Martinez. That's a cute little crown, too. Okay, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, and as you can tell, Alan Moore likes a lot of these, like, look at that thing. I feel like this was in another comic book. It, like, puts you into, like, a dream state. So I find that Alan Moore likes these types of dream states in comic books. Oh, have a good night, Sahil. I know it's late as well, so thank you for joining. And then I'm, as I said, organizing a lot of my replays, and I will be back tomorrow regardless for a few things. All right. So Superman, created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster from right here in Toronto. For the Man Who Has Everything, Alan Moore, writer, Dave Gibbons is the artist and letterer. Tom Zuico is the colorist, and Julius Swartz is the editor. So as I said, it's like takes a whole team of people to bring this story into life. Hey, Dr. Doom, Merry Christmas to you too. It's a nice Christmas story way to bring in the holiday season. This is a feel-good story, which is a nice way to end it. Okay. So we begin. Oh, wait. That's fine. I'll just start here. So we'll start with this, like, I don't know, strange plant thing on him. Hey, Mari Landry. We were going to do a set tonight, but I got behind on some editing projects. You guys, like, when you get into the editing suite, you, like, realize, like, oh, this won't take long, and then it takes forever. We'll be back tomorrow, though, for a set, I think, earlier in the day, before or after gaming, I think, as I organize all my scheduling. Okay. What is it? It looks like it's growing into him through his costume. I love this Wonder Woman costume, by the way. It's a classic costume. My sister will always say this. She's like, Wonder Woman is not supposed to wear pants or a skirt. She's got to wear these little star-spangled shorts. The Black Mercy plant. That's what it's called. Thank you, Angel, for that. Yes, because the Black Mercy plant also appears in this other story I have, Trinity, but that's not tonight's read. This is this read. Okay, but he's Superman. Is he breathing? Yes, but very faintly. Bruce, this thing feels funny. I think it might have some magic in it. If it's growing through the costume, that would make sense. It looks like he was opening a gift. Like in Dune, right? When is a gift not a gift? When they like gift Arrakis to the Atreides, but it's a trap, that kind of thing, right? So we have like the stages set. Someone gifted Superman magic, and if you guys know about Superman, he's actually very vulnerable to magic, which is why Zatanna is like a go-to for help on the Justice League, right? Because she can help with like magic vulnerabilities, right? So Wonder Woman's saying, like, it feels like there's some magic in that Black Mercy plant that's attached to Superman. Bruce, listen, if something's done this to Superman, then we have to find out what it is as quickly as possible without wasting time worrying. Check those wrappings thoroughly and be careful. Well, I don't think we should try removing it. If it's growing into him... No, you're right. His pupils aren't contracting even slightly. He must be cut off from just about all sensation. Oh, happy birthday, John Ross. Aw, 35. Yeah, teen 30s. You're in my realm of the universe, age-wise. Okay, let's see here. Oh yeah, so he's like in a trance right now because of the plant. And Batman says he's in a world of his own. And so now we're transported into Superman's consciousness inside of whatever the plant, I guess, is giving him a hallucinogen. It's like tripping out. Okay. Cal? Why are you still staring out of the window? The underlights of Aunt Allura's, oh my gosh, paragondola vanished 5 units ago. So remember, Allura is my mom. Allura is Supergirl's mama. Everyone's gone home. No reason. It's just that, well, it would have been nice if my father had been here tonight. Well, I invited him, but when I told him Allura and Kara would be here, he said he was very busy. I don't know who this chick is. Maybe you guys can let me know. So we're now back on Krypton. So this is why I'm reading you guys this story, because as I said, the history of Krypton, for you to create Superman, you had to create a whole planet of Krypton, right? And a whole mythology behind it, a whole lore behind it, because Kara, Zor-El, right? I'm actually named after the Kryptonian goddess of love and beauty. So the equivalent of that would be Venus. Because if you think about Krypton, they would have their own zodiac, because they'd have their own sun, which is Ra, which is a red sun, not a yellow sun, which is why they don't have the same superpowers on Krypton as they do on Earth. So there's an interesting tell there about how our cosmic, how the cosmos work, I think. Okay. So I don't know who this is, though, but she's saying, like, well, I invited him, but when I told him that Allura and Kara would be here, he said he was busy. He's so unreasonable, Cal. I know he argued with his brother, but Zor-El's been dead for 3 years now. Okay, so that's what's happening. Zor-El, which is Superman's uncle, has died in this. So my dad is not alive anymore. In the story that I was doing with Green Lantern, what I have with like my hubby Green Lantern is that there's this cosmic conspiracy because Kara's dad has been blamed for the destruction of Krypton, but she realized that this isn't true. There's actually something else going on, and it has something to do with the Green Lanterns. Dun, dun, dun. All right, let's continue. He's so unreasonable, Cal. I know he argued with his brother, but Zor-El's been dead for 3 years now. And my father still won't speak to Allura or Kara. I know. It's stupid. Aw, thanks, Mr. Silver Bullet. And thanks for the follow, Blaine. I'm reading For the Man Who Has Everything, which is a story written by Alan Moore and illustrated by Dave Gibbons, who are both the same team who did Watchmen. Fun fact. Okay. And my father still won't speak to Allura or Kara. I know it's stupid. A stupid argument over politics. Oh, interesting. On Krypton, they argue over politics too? Okay. Yes, well, it isn't exactly difficult to argue over politics with Jor-El these days. Why not visit him tomorrow after work? Just don't worry about him tonight. It's our first day. What is this? The row butlers will clear up. Let's go to bed. I don't know what? Row butlers? What are those? Oh my gosh. Please, no spoilers. This is an old comic book though, you guys. Okay. So I think, though, too, just to give some context, that like Superman received this as a gift because it's his birthday, I think. Remember, also just be careful of gifts that you don't trust, because it could be something that puts you into a trance. So in this trance, we're on Krypton, right? And so to set the stage, Allura and Kara, I'm still alive. My mom's still alive, but my father's gone, and there's like political unrest on Krypton. Okay. Where are we? Why not visit him tomorrow after work? Just don't worry about him tonight. It's your first day. The row butlers will clear up. Let's go to bed. Lila, why did you ever give up acting for this? Oh my gosh, is this Harbinger? Is it Lila? That's kind of interesting. I need to cross-reference that later. I don't know, Cal. Remind me. Interesting how Krypton looks too, right? Oh, it's you. Good to see you, son. Come inside. I'm out on my glass forest terrace. Oh my gosh. Sorry about that, guys. Sometimes when I read the comics for the first time, this is my first time reading this as well. And when you're reading the comic bubbles, it's all capital letters. So sometimes I'm just like, is this a noun or a verb? But let me redo that again. Oh, it's you. Good to see you, son. Come inside. I'm out on my glass forest terrace. Some friends of mine are out there. They're just leaving. How are Lila and the children, Ian and little Lara? That's Orna, Father. Orna, yes, of course, you know. I always thought it was a shame you don't name her after your mother. Oh, this is His Reverence, Lor N, and this is Major Dax R, my son Cal, gentlemen. These guys look sketchy. So I guess like the way they're setting this up is that Jor-El in this timeline in Superman's dream state is kind of like, I don't know. It's not very nice. Oh, hey Carl, hey. Thanks for joining the comic book read tonight. I'm reading for the man who has everything. And I like this story just because it deals with a lot of Kryptonian lore from like Superman's deep subconscious perspective, let's say, right? Because if you think about the fact that the plant is probably like putting him into this dream state, where do you go when you dream? You're visiting probably your subconscious state, your ancestral memories. So that's where he's probably pulling this story from on some regard or on some level, right? Okay, my son Cal, gentlemen. Oh yes, the one who married the actress. So Lila's an actress? They have actresses on Krypton? Oh yes, the one who married the actress. How pleasant to meet you. Jor, we have to leave you. We have to leave. You'll address the rally next middle day? Of course. Safe journey home, my friends. So it looks like there's like this religious group, because I think there's like Rao fanatics or something, and it's like entrenched in the politics. 1 second. Wolfie. He just barged in. Just making sure. Classic Wolfie cameo. Sometimes he comes in and like knocks over some lights, but I just wanted to make sure he was okay. He's my crypto too, and I try to have him in some of these when he if I can bribe him with the proper treats and he's in the right mood. Okay. My dog does watch cartoons though. He does have a thing for anime. Okay, where are we? Of course, safe journey home, my friends. Now, Cal, what can I do for you? Incidentally, I'm sorry I missed your first day yesterday. Something really important came up. You know how things are. I'm not sure that I do. That Lor M, isn't he the one who runs the Sword of Rao sect? Father, what are you doing talking to people like that? Cal, Lor M has a lot of people behind him. A lot of people with influence. If the old Krypton movement is to have any political strength in the chambers. And Cal is like, old Krypton movement? When did you get so political, Dad? Old Krypton movement? You're really going through with that. Well, someone has to. Look around you, Cal. What's happened to Krypton? There's the drug trafficking, the glamour salts, and Hell Blossom coming in from Urkel. What the heck are glamour salts and Hell Blossoms? So I guess it's like some sort of like space drugs that's causing Krypton to like fall into ruin. So he's like, well, we need some order here. We need some more structure. So more politics apparently is the answer. And Cal's like, okay. Someone has to. Look around you, Cal. What's happened to Krypton? There's the drug trafficking and glamour salts and Hell Blossom coming in from Urkel. There's racial trouble with Valtho Island immigrants. Holy cow. You cannot make this up. There's racial trouble with Valtho Island immigrants on Krypton. Father, Krypton is changing and the change is difficult. Extremist political groups aren't making it any easier. And grubbing for rocks in the Kandor crater is, I suppose. I had great hopes for you, Cal. That that isn't fair. I guess this is kind of like imagining what life would be like if Krypton didn't implode and like Cal were to grow up and he's like, I'm gonna like work in Kandor collecting rocks. And his dad's like, how come you don't want to get involved in politics and my weird fanatical movements? So it's like, oh man, Jor-El, you don't really sound like such a great dad. Okay. Hold on, I need a sip. Hope you guys are well. I always end up starting late and then I'm trying to power through. It's 3 a.m., 3:11 a.m. I hope you guys are enjoying this read. I'm reading you guys my favorite DC movie. Good question. You know what? Probably Batman Returns with Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Keaton as Batman. Did you know there was supposed to be a Batgirl movie with Michael Keaton and I forget her name, but like with Barbara Gordon's Batgirl, right? Because of course Batman and Robin, which was done as a movie, had Alicia Silverstone. That wasn't Barbara Gordon, even though it was Batgirl. She looked great as Batgirl though. I have no hate, but that just wasn't the Batman 2012. That was a great movie. The Batman. I love how they did Batman and Catwoman's relationship in that. And like the two motorcycles, the bat and the cat. Just, yeah, I vibe with that. I like how it was Robert Pattinson was a good act. I wasn't sure about him till I saw the movie and I was like, no, you're a good choice to kind of play that, like, I guess it kind of makes sense. He used to be a vampire in another movie, like this, that tortured soul, right? And, yeah, bats and totem animals of like being part of the bat family, being able to see in the dark, comfortable in the night, right? That's why I'm like here at 3 a.m. with you guys, because I'm comfortable in like the middle of the night too, which is why I vibe with Batgirl. Kandor is the bottle city. Yes, exactly. So remember, this is in like Superman's dreamscape, right? Because of that Black Mercy gift. And so it's interesting how he is imagining what life would be like if if Krypton never blew up and he never was sent to Earth and he had to deal with like his dad and what that would mean to actually just like grow up as like a regular old citizen on Krypton, right? Okay. I had great hopes for you, Cal. Okay, well that isn't fair. Well, when has anyone ever been fair to me? Was it fair that I was forced to resign from the Science Council? Was it fair that the eating sickness took your mother? What's the eating sickness? Holy cow. So I guess that's what maybe changed him. Changed Jor-El, the fact that like losing Superman's mom. That was 20 years ago. I know the Science Council treated you badly, Dad, but badly, they implied that I was insane. All right, so my theory was incorrect. I believed that Krypton was doomed, but I was wrong. Oh, so I'm seeing this now. So I believe that, right, like Jor-El predicted the end of Krypton, that Krypton was going to be doomed, but no one believed him. But in this case, Krypton didn't explode, right? So the Science Council just thought he was a fool, right? And that's the ramifications of that. All right, so my theory was incorrect. I believed Krypton was doomed and I was wrong. Does that give them the right to push me aside and let society fall to pieces? You know, I hear they're campaigning to release the Phantom Zone criminals unreasonably severe punishment, they call it. So the Phantom Zone, as you guys know, I don't know if you guys know or not, is like this like interdimensional prison, right? It's actually like at the end of the first story here when they're dealing with that fifth dimensional demon guy. The Phantom Zone, I think, is where like he puts him. So Phantom Zone deserves a whole other look in it as well, because when I was looking into the Kryptonian pantheon, you have these like darker goddesses that like primarily deal with like the Phantom Zone. And I wonder about the Phantom Zone's mapping when it comes to multiverses as well. Is there only one Phantom Zone, or are there like multiple Phantom Zones per universe situation. Okay. Oh yeah, I hear they're campaigning to release the Phantom Zone criminals. Unreasonably severe punishment, they call it. And Cal's just like, oh my gosh, Father. Sometimes I think you wish you were right. I think you wish Krypton had exploded after all. I have to go now. And Jor-El's just like looking off into the distance, like kind of like grumpy. And then he takes a bat and he smashes this, I don't know what this is. Looks like trees. Really, it's just a matter of putting the pieces together. Weird. I don't know what that is. Looks like there's mushrooms there too. So he takes a bat and like wrecks whatever this crystal contraption is. And really, it's just a matter of putting the pieces together. It's funny because Dr. Manhattan says a very similar thing, right? When he's in that nuclear thing where he gets split apart and he basically puts himself back together at a molecular level. And it's because he like is trained as a watchmaker. It's about putting together the pieces in the right order, just like a human body, I suppose, right? Like, so that's why he's like a skeletal system appears and then muscle on it. And just interesting that like I find that like that same terminology he uses that again, like the concept of like it's just a matter of taking the pieces and putting them together in the right order, right? Okay. I think it's safe to say, or rather, I think it's safe to assume from those wrappings that Superman received that this thing is a gift. But how? I guess the U.S. mail doesn't reach this far. Listen, it has to be alien in origin. I know that a lot of alien cultures send him gifts. So like now we're flashed back to Wonder Woman, Batman, and Robin, who are dealing with like Superman, who's like comatose. I mean, like, well, how did this happen, and how can we help him? Okay, perhaps he doesn't use the channel. Oh wait, hold on, I missed a little panel here. Listen, it has to be alien in origin. I know that a lot of alien cultures send him gifts. This is what Wonder Woman is saying. I suppose he must have a teleportation channel, although he's never mentioned one. Perhaps he doesn't use the channel often, just once a year, like when it's his birthday. It's possible some grateful world may have sent this as a gift, unaware that it would harm him. Well, that's sweet, Robin, for you to think that it wouldn't just be something that's nefarious. So this also gives us a revelation as to when Superman's birthday is. And I think that like his friends also know it's his birthday. So the gift was sent to Superman on his birthday, actually ended up putting him into this like strange dream state where he's like now experiencing what it would be like on Krypton if it didn't explode. So that's kind of cool. Blade City, am I a teacher? I'm a comic book teacher, or rather I'm a superhero teacher. I'm here to help you activate the superhero that lies sleeping within you, right? Through stories, right? That resonate with you and click with you and like take you to your next stage of evolution, whatever that means for you, right? Okay. Where are we? It is possible, says Batman. Some grateful world may have sent this as a gift, unaware that it could harm him. How remarkable you animals really are, almost intelligent, aren't you? That's exactly what happened. Except for one or two minor details. And so, because they're assuming that this was like benign in nature, that they didn't mean to hurt Superman, but this guy's like, well, you missed out. Like, I kind of meant to do that. And so Batman and Wonder Woman are like, who the heck are you? And you're probably going to provide some answers as to what's going on. Maybe. Because bad guys love to always announce their plans. You notice that? Like, I'm going to tell you my whole evil scheme and explain it to you. Okay. Firstly, I knew precisely what it would do to him. And secondly, it was not intended to be a token of gratitude. Okay, well, what is it? I don't know. Start to move away slowly. Perhaps we can play for time. What exactly is that creature? Oh, do you like it? It's called Black Mercy. I traveled a great way into the tangled zones to locate it. Oh, and please tell the little yellow creature to stop shuffling it. It distracts me. It's sometimes between a plant and an intelligent fungus. It attaches itself to the victims in a form of symbiosis, feeding from their bio aura. Oh, interesting. I love comic book of this, how they explain the methodology as to how things happen. So what this Black Mercy gift, like fungus virus thing is doing is feeding off of Superman's bio aura. I'm going to take that word for future use. Okay. Oh, and please tell the little yellow creature is Robin, I think, that to stop shuffling. It distracts me. It's something between a plant and an intelligent fungus. It attaches itself to its victims in a form of symbiosis, feeding from their bioaura. And what does it do for them in return? Why, it gives them exactly their heart's desire. I'd say that was fair, wouldn't you? It's telepathic. It reads them like a book and feeds them a logical simulation of the happy ending that they desire. Of course, its victims could shrug it off, but they just don't want to. So you're trapped in like your heart's desire. They're giving you a beautiful dream that ends up being kind of like a prison while this like virus thing feeds off the bioaura. I delivered it to him, and when I was certain that it had done its work, I followed it along the teleportation channel. Poor little creature, I wonder where he thinks he is. Perhaps he's playing happily as a child in whatever sordid aboriginal backwater he was raised in, or bouncing on his mother's knee. That would be nice, wouldn't it? To think of him carefree and contented forever. Oh, hey Wolveraza. Oh yeah, this is, I like this story. It is for the man who has everything. It's about Superman's birthday, which, just so you guys know, Superman's birthday is leap day, right? So February 29th. And this year, 2024, is actually a leap year. So I feel like that's a tell in terms of like Superman activation, like activating the Superman within you, right? Yeah, it's such a good story. This is my first time reading it. I only know the story through my own research about Krypton. And the reason why I'm reading it to you guys now is because through learning about Krypton and like the mythology and like the Phantom Zone and all that kind of stuff, a lot of the sources cite this story, right? When Superman basically goes into his own subconscious, because what the Black Mercy plant is doing is basically trying to give him a simulation that is what it thinks that Superman wants. So there's like an interesting tell there to what we're dealing with now if we think about like AI projections or like these like digital kind of worlds and trying to disseminate between like what is the real world and like what is like fake world and what is like being fed to us, and like trying to dissect or like differentiate between the illusion and like what is real for your own reality, right? Okay. Of course, its victims could just shrug it off. They just don't want to. I delivered it to him, and when I was certain that it had done its work, I followed it along the teleportation channel. Poor little creature, I wonder where he thinks he is. So he's thinking that like maybe Superman's like pretending like he's like a little kid again and playing with his mom. And then Batman says, "What are you exactly? If you don't already know my name, then you are not worthy of an introduction. I'm the new manager around here." Ugh. Naturally, I shall need time to settle in and adjust to your many interesting customs. I know, for example, that your society makes distinctions on a basis of, what is this? Sender and age. What does that mean by sender? Okay, well, gender. Freaking, like that does not look like a G, but that's what I think that's what he means here. Okay, I know, for example, that your society makes distinctions on a basis of gender and age. And so perhaps you could advise me. Which of you would it be polite to kill first? Aww. Oh my goodness, I have Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow here. I have the Millie Alcock. I like her. Yeah.
I don't run from my destiny. I face it head on.
I don't know though. Looking at that teaser trailer, some of the CGI for the flying looks bad. No! Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna keep looking at it. Okay. And thank you, Ugana, in terms of my voice. I try to do voices as much as possible. I'm still working on my Batman voice, so so you can differentiate. But hopefully, maybe some of you guys, if you own some of these comics, we can do a roundtable read so that I can have like, some other voices in there to embody some of it. Like table reads, like how actors do it. It's fun. Like reading and adding the intonations and being in it is like a whole different experience. Okay, so. He's saying, which one of you would it be polite to kill first? And then Wonder Woman, Batman, and Robin look at each other. And he says, well, and then Wonder Woman comes up to him and punches him in the face. And Wonder Woman's like, oh my gosh, that actually hurt my hand. Thank you. I think that's answered my question. So he now reaches out to Wonder Woman to kill her first. I guess ladies first. I asked you a question. And so now we're flashing back to Krypton with Cal, who is married to Lila, who I think is also Harbinger. Not sure, but let's go with it. And they have a son. I asked you a question. Why won't anybody answer me? Widow Zor-El, please. So it's Allura freaking out. My mama. Aunt Allura? I got the message you left on my, what is this? Cali Cube or Call Cube and came straight away. I was looking after Van, so I'm afraid I had to bring, oh, Cal, she's, so Van is Kal-El's son. Widow Zor-El, please come this way. You can see your daughter in a moment. Kara? Something's happened to Kara? What is going on? You're Kal-El, the girl's cousin? Yes, but I'm afraid Kara Zor-El was attacked earlier this evening by some rioters armed with slash sticks. Oh my gosh. She's critical. So there's rioters there, like those weird fanatics from before. They basically, I guess, rioted, and Kara on Krypton was caught in the crossfire of it, and she's now in the hospital. Father, did Aunt Allura hurt herself? She was crying, but why? They found this. It was tied around her neck. Father? I don't know who that is. Does that look familiar to you guys? I don't know. So in this version, it's just like, oh, Supergirl, Kara, you can't grab a break. Even in this world of a dream world, you get in trouble or get hurt. God damn it. Jax R. More than 20 years in limbo. Just because it doesn't hurt that doesn't mean it isn't torture. Free Phantom Zone exiles now. So there's, it's basically a flyer tied around Kara's neck, petitioning to free all of like the inmates from the Phantom Zone, which is basically like this like dimensional prison for bad guys, right? My favorite superhero right now is Supergirl, but my two faves are probably Supergirl and Batgirl. Barbara Gordon, Batgirl too. And Oracle as well. My first comic books that I read was actually Marvel, so Civil War, so Captain America and Iron Man, that kind of stuff. But my first like introduction to the characters was the old 60s TV show of Batman and Robin, and Yvonne Craig is Batgirl and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that's my background with it, but it changes. I have a lot of friends, a lot of favorite superheroines. Like I love Jean Grey and Psylocke, and oh my goodness, Felicia Hardy, Black Cat. I do her as well. I'm still working on another version of Supergirl with the white shirt, as well as Mary Marvel too. So it'll be fun. Oh, thank you. This comic, Bella, is Alan Moore's. Well, there's 3 stories in here, and it's like a compilation of the Superman stories that Alan Moore has written. And the story I'm reading you guys right now is Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. Not Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, that was the first one. For the Man Who Is Everything, which is about Superman's birthday. So Superman received this gift. It sends him into this like dreamscape where he's on Krypton, and it's supposed to be giving him his heart's desire. But I'm a little oh, thanks, Steven. Oh, Superman. Yeah, I'm reading Superman. Yes. So, okay. Let's hustle because I want to get through this. It's 333, you guys. Yay! Magic time. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you guys. And so you're here at a great time. We're not too far away from the conclusion. And the reason why I'm reading this story is because, as I said before, there's a lot of Krypton intel. Because think of it. For you to create the whole character of Superman or Supergirl, you had to also then create Krypton, right? You have to create the mythology. So it's like a whole world needs to be created to create a character too, right? All right. Okay. Jax R. More than 20 years in limbo. Just because it doesn't hurt, that doesn't mean it isn't torture. Free Phantom Zone exiles now. I've seen these things around, but the anti-Phantom Zone campaigners see the Phantom Zone ray as an instrument of torture. Your father invented it. That makes the House of L very unpopular in certain quarters, as your cousin has discovered. So the House of L, because they created this ray that takes prisoners to the Phantom Zone, there's now all this propaganda about how that's torture. And so the House of L, which is like Kal-El, Jor-El, Kara, Zor-El, right? They are all now targets by these rioters and people who are like protesting and stuff because they want to free. Like, do you really want? Let's go in like free Arkham Asylum people because it's torture. But, like, yeah, but okay. Anyways, hey, Wolfie. What's up? Okay. The anti-Phantom Zone campaigners see the Phantom Zone ray as an instrument of torture. Your father invented it. That makes the House of L unpopular in certain quarters, as your cousin has discovered. She's through here. Perhaps, nurse, you could entertain the child. Of course. Hello, my name is Ansula. What is yours? Van L. Of course. Kara? Please, only a few moments. She's very weak. So then, what does Nightwing do to Metal Giant after he hits Flamebird? He breaks all his arms off. Ha! Mercy. Well then, Metal Giant converts into a Trundle, Guan, and Father. So I love that, like, she mentions Nightwing and Flamebird here, because Nightwing and Flamebird are actually Kryptonian gods, because they're dragon gods that are the son and daughter of Ra, the sun god in Krypton. That's kind of fun. Nice little drop there. Look what Angula gave me. She said I could keep it. That's very nice, Van. Listen, I have to call your mother. I won't be long. Hello. Cal? What's happening? You're at the hospital. It isn't Van, is it? No. Van's with me. He's fine. It's Kara. She's been attacked. Anti-Phantom Zone campaigners attacked her with a grudge against the House of L. Lila, I think it would be better and safer if we took the children to your parents in Atomic Town for a while. Well, what about Allura? Allura's staying at the hospital with Kara. They'll be safe there. Can you and Orna take the paragondola straight to Atomic Town? Van and I will have the floater, and we'll meet you there. Ooh, Atomic Town. For safety. I love you, Lila. And you too, Orna. I'll see you in Atom Town. Please deposit 2 drills for the next 5 units. Oh, Cal. So I guess he's calling her collect. So it kind of cuts him off after he says to her to meet. Sound it out. Yeah, it's just some of these words, though, like I'm just like, these are very Kryptonian, right? So I'm going to repeat this last one. Allura's staying at the hospital with Kara, and they'll be safe there. Can you and Orna take the paragondola straight to Atomic Town? Van and I have the floater, and we'll meet you there. I love you, Lila. And you too, Orna. I'll see you in Atom. Please deposit 2 orals for the next 5 units. Oh, Cal. I know. Please take care. Father, where are we going? It's dark. We're going on a vacation, Van. We're going to visit your grandfather. Not Grandfather Jor-El. No. We're going to see Grandfather Lerol and Grandmother Maris in Atomic Town. Oh, that's all right then. I guess he doesn't really like Jor-El that much. Thanks, F you. You're very helpful despite how your name comes across. But yeah, it's all a bit odd sometimes. And also, like, you know, when you're reading comic books and it's in your head and you're reading these terms, it's a different thing than when you're like, okay, now I'm going to say it. Like, there's that 5th dimensional demon guy, mix it with MXY. I'm like, how do you even say that name, right? I think that sometimes certain things are not meant to say. Okay, let's see. Okay, listen, I'll take the floater cross city to western exit. We can cut through Little Vathlo and over the Fort Ross Plaza. Father, that justice officer is flashing to us. What exactly is the trouble? Right here. Oh, diversion. There's a big torch procession of those Sword of Ra characters coming through here. Part of the old Krypton rally. And you can see them here. How creepy do they look, actually? Old Krypton? Oh no. Father? What's happening? That? Oh, it's just like a circus parade. Nothing's happening, Van. Everything is fine. And then we flash back to real life where Superman's in this trance and that guy basically punches Wonder Woman. Well, you're certainly lasting longer than I anticipated. And you're a female, I think. You wouldn't be the Kryptonians' mate by any chance. We're just good friends. Let's see if we can even up the odds a little bit. Oh dear, is that a neural impactor? Do they still make those? What the heck is a neural impactor? I'd advise you to I'd advise you to try the Plasm Disruptor. It's smaller, more of a female's version. Wow, you're very condescending, guy. And then she's like, go to hell. Yeah, you tell him, Wonder Woman. And then she blasts him. Bruce, that explosion, he knocked her through the far wall and... Bruce, what's happening in there? So after Wonder Woman blasts this guy, he still comes back. Tesla makes them now. That's really funny. And thanks for the follow, Art. Okay, if we're lucky, that explosion means Diana's found the Hall of Weapons. We've got to concentrate on reviving Superman because whatever's going on through there is way out of our league. Wow, Batman, I guess it's because you don't have superpowers, but you have the weapons. You could use the weapons, right? Yes, Mr. Mix-It. Oh my gosh, how would you say that? The fifth dimensional demon. Yeah. And then if you say that name backwards, that's what sends him back into the Phantom Zone. There's like a whole trick to that too. And the fact that he's like just a bored fifth dimensional demon. Let's hear. Mix-A-Pitalik. Okay. Mix-A-Pitalik. Okay, yeah. Thank you for that, Wolveraza. Now when I make videos in the future, I don't have to just stumble over and kind of like mumble it and pretend that you didn't hear. Hey, Pikachu. Welcome. Pika. We are now in the conclusion of the man who has everything, which is written by the same team, Dave Gibbons and Alan Moore, who wrote Watchmen, right? So there's a something there. There's a connection of dots there, I think, in terms of those two stories as well. Okay. If we're lucky, that explosion means Diana's found the Hall of Weapons. We've got to concentrate on reviving Superman because whatever's going on through there is way out of our league. You can see Wonder Woman's basically taking the brunt of it. Superman, Cal, we're in serious trouble, old friend. You have got to wake up. That's all, Cal. I need you to just wake up. Wake up, Krypton, the danger that faces you. And so we are now transported back into Superman's dream consciousness, right? Alan Moore is the man, F.U. Totally. Wake up, Krypton, to the danger that faces you. Excuse me? Can I get my floater through here, please? I love that these floater cars, like, where are floating cars, you guys? It all looks like very Fifth Element stuff. Like, even in Promethea, they say by 1999 we're supposed to have these cars. Where the heck? Yes, Chrysalis, I'm here. And I'm actually reading about Krypton. And I love this story because it gives us like a glimpse into like what life and what it might have looked like on Krypton had it not imploded, right? Okay. Excuse me, can I get my floater through here, please? You'll have to take another route, brother. The divine Lore M has just introduced our chairman. Wake up to the rot that infects your cities. Chairman, wake up to the carnage that is almost upon you. I once knew a Krypton that was noble and unspoiled, where proud towers rose up against an untainted sky. And now, today, I see that splendor threatened with destruction. Oh my goodness. And it's crazy because it's Jor-El. Kal-El's dad is going off, like, talking like this. Currently working on flying car. Yes, Red Fox. I hope you are. I'm down for that. Well, while I'm working on flying, of course. You know, flying cars and flying, right? And then I truly think we don't have flying vehicles because the powers that aren't, or the government hasn't figured out a way to tax or police that other dimension, the up dimension, right? So we just need to do it all renegade styles, I think. Like, if you build your own cars, then you don't have to follow all the same rules that all the manufacturing stuff have to deal with when it comes to cars too, right? Dun 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 dun, loopholes, all about it. Okay, and it's not a car, it's a floater, right? Okay, wake up to the rot that infects your city. So like basically Jor-El's going off about like, Krypton is like a sinful place and I'm gonna help you. You always like worry about those things too, right? What sort of catastrophe is it going to be this time, Jor-El? Is the planet blowing up again? Or is it going to be floods and plagues? You fanatic, you torturer, you will not disrupt the sacred tranquility of our gathering. Wreck, he's hurting me. Leave her alone. What is this thing? So you have like two sects of people, right? You have like the fanatics, right? Who like worshipping Rao and all this stuff. And then you have the other side of it where it's like the protesters who like want to free all the prisoners from the Phantom Zone. Craziness. Doesn't sound like a dream, heart desire world to me, actually. Okay. Then I think we ought to avoid this area. We'll try the northern exit and circle around. Father, that's grandfather Jor-El. Why is he shouting about the world ending? Your grandfather's world ended 20 years ago. Let's get out of here. So they're out, getting out of like that craziness, right? Like how I feel about Toronto sometimes, you know, the big cities, the protests, all that kind of stuff. Gotta get out. They're out. Father, that's the gold volcano over there. This isn't how we get to Grandfather Larrel's. No, Van, it's not Father's. Father's a little upset right now. I just need somewhere quiet to think. I thought we could go to the Candor crater. So it's like always being called to Candor, right? So I thought we'd go to the Candor crater. Are we gonna get all shrunk up? So they're heading to the crater. No, that happened a long time ago. So they keep driving. It looks like there's like a strange wall here. This looks very Truman Show. Krypton shows a trip. Only live action Lobo appearance so far. I have not watched the Krypton live show. I need to do that since I'm doing a lot of research into it. Because like, where is Krypton in our if we were to map it, of course, like I don't believe that what NASA has told us about space is entirely true. But let's say, as a model, right? If we were look out to space, like where is Krypton supposed to be located relative to our solar system? Do you guys know? Or is there... I need to watch this. 2008, 2009. 2,000 years before the birth of Superman. I'm gonna watch this. I'm all interested now. Yeah, okay. So they're out. They drive out this way. Thanks for that, Wolveraza. I didn't even know that there was a Krypton TV show. Yes. Would you say, Wolveraza, that it was accurate? I know it's hard to say that with certain things, right? Because everything is just like a remix and a play on things. So look into it. All right, let's keep going, friends. And so they're out. They're in the the Candor crater. There isn't much out here. I don't like it. That's what Cal's son says. Van, I'm sorry. I just needed to come here. There's something wrong. You know, when I get a bad feeling and then, oh, Van, I'm sorry. I'm not talking sense, and you're too young to understand. Father, can we go and meet another, let me repeat that. Father, can we go and meet Mother and Orna? I'm really cold. Van, it's this feeling Oh dear Rao, am I going mad? I keep thinking that. Van, please. I know this doesn't make sense, but you're my son. I was there at your birth, and I will always love you, but Van, I don't think that you're real. Jor-El's the main dude in it. Okay. Adam Strange. Okay, that could be interesting. I would love to look at Krypton from a perspective, because whenever Supergirl talks about her father and the mythology of Krypton, it's from a perspective of being like, my father basically used mythology to control me, like religion, right? Or like belief systems, or in this case, like you see like the fanatic aspects of things. And interesting, because Krypton's known as being a very like high-tech world, right? They're high tech. They don't have superpowers on Krypton because they don't have a yellow sun there. So it'd be interesting to look into that, because as I told you guys, like to make Superman, you had to also create a whole world of Krypton and where he came from, and like just the mythology and of that as well, because he's young version of Jor-El, so they get away with a lot. Yeah, it's like you can get away because there's nothing written about that, right? So you can have that space to do with it as you will, right? Okay, we're almost done, friends. Okay. His eyes are starting to water. So this is Batman. They're now back in the real world. Superman's figured out that he's in an illusion, I believe. His eyes are starting to water, and I think I just felt it. Give a little bit. Maybe he's fighting it. Get me those gloves that the big creature handled with earlier. Father, I'm scared. You're talking funny. But don't you see? It's all wrong. Krypton shouldn't have ended up like this. This shouldn't have happened. None of this should have happened. So it's like the realization in the dream state with like, this is just a dream, right? One of the coils is loose. It's slacking. It's slacking its grip on him. Bruce, I've got the gauntlets. I want to see my mother. I want to see Orna. Van, oh my son, I'm losing you. Please, please, just let me hold you once more. Don't forget the gauntlets. I think it's coming. Van. Off? So Batman grabs it off, but it's like this, the Black Mercy's all like, Yeah, the realization where you're just like, oh my gosh, this is all a dream. And this is like Alan Moore does this a lot with like the conceptualization of like how time behaves in these other worlds, and then also to the son Van. Does that mean that he never existed, even though he existed in just the dream? It's an interesting conception, right? And then because in some universe somewhere this world exists, right? Okay, one of the coils is loose. It's slackening its grip on him, and then it comes off, and so Batman now has it. Bruce, look out. It's trying to attack him now and attach to Batman. They're in the dark and familiar streets of old Gotham, walking home after the show. There is the sound of his father's laughter, the smell of his mother's perfume. Oh no, Bruce, don't let it get a hold of you. And then the man myth, the weasel face, steps from the shadows, carrying a very ugly looking gun. And then he fires. Bruce! And then he misses. And Thomas Wayne takes the gun away from him with no trouble at all. Oh no, I can't handle this. Bruce, wake up. So like the weird Black Mercy virus fungus thing has now moved off of Superman and has now moved on to Bruce. And of course, like Bruce, like it gives you a new reality that's supposed to be your heart's desire. So it's giving him this world that his parents don't die, right? Dun dun dun. And Robin, of course, is freaking out. He's like, I'm not equipped to deal with this stuff. And back in Bruce's dream world, the police lead the man away and the child is safe in his mother's arms. The dark cloud of terror that had flapped squawking through his wind breaks up, disappearing forever. He is content. Please, please, please wake up. I don't know if a human body can stand contact with this junk, even if it didn't do any harm to Superman. And Superman's now awake and he's like, who did this to me? I don't know, says Robin. A big yellow guy. He's through there hurting Wonder Woman now. Superman, are you okay? you look sort of, see here, Mongol? Oh, Mongol. That's who the bad guy is. Mongol. I was like, he's like, you look sort of, and he's like, I know who that is. Mongol. I'm watching The Flash TV series season 7. See here. This was in the Superman animated series. Oh, was it? Because it does have to, like, the whole story is really about Superman's birthday, right? And the fact that he gets this gift and it ends up, like, not really being so much of a gift, even though the weird creature thing is supposed to give him his heart's desire, right? So he gets all mad. He's like, Mongol! And he's like, Superman, wait! But he's, like, already on the case. He hears a voice, like Armageddon, shouting his name, and he starts to turn. He knows he has perhaps less than half a second of which to defend himself. Good luck, buddy. What am I going to do about Bruce? I can't, He starts to reach towards his armor's weapon systems, letting the unconscious woman crumple to the floor. But the rock of the far wall seems to ripple outwards in a sudden cascade of powder. So Robin puts on the gauntlet gloves here while this is happening over here. And a 400-mile-an-hour wind slams into him like a steam hammer as big as the world. As Robin's pulling the Black Mercy off of Batman, and he knows that he is far too late. And he does it. Pulls it off. Get up. Get up, you vermin. Do you understand what you did to me? And he says back, perfectly. I fashioned a prison that you could not leave without giving up your heart's desire. Escaping it must have been like tearing off your own arm. And now I'm going to kill you anyway. Happy birthday, Kryptonian. I give you oblivion. Superman responds, burn. They're up there? How am I going to get up there with this thing? Says Robin. There aren't any stairs in this place, and there's nowhere I can put it, and... And he gets an idea. I'll just put it in this sack. So once he has it in the sack, he heads up to evil bad guy. You insufferable little speck. You hurt me. You hurt me, Crook. You should have stayed in whatever happy fantasy the Black Mercy granted you. Happy? Happy? Their enclosure shattered, a cloud of terrified neon moths boils beneath the distant ceiling, shrieking with human voices. Far below, two dense and massive creatures crash together like angry planets. Eyes spit out suns, muscles shift like potential plates, routing under a hide of jaundiced leather, becoming overexcited, 3 sentient puddles from, where is it? Oh, there's a gasoline here. I don't know how he's saying this. Main rad evaporate, completely leaving a faint odor of gasoline. Okay. In the chamber of archives, a machine with a brain made of light is counting the distant pulsars. Within 10 feet of its reverie, alien engines of fury grind together unnoticed. Oh my gosh, Alan Moore, you're killing me right now. Okay. Their enmity can only be measured in the skipped heartbeats of distant sensographs. Both indestructible, each damages the other. Both irresistible, each finds themselves thwarted. Surrender is not a possibility here. Superman?
are you up here? So Superman keeps on fighting, right? This is the darkest that Soup's gotten to the cartoon. Well, I mean, they really push him here, right? They gave him a son and they took it away, and they gave him a whole world and called it a prison of his heart's desire, but it really was kind of like a form of psychological torture. Remember, Superman doesn't like magic too much, right? Superman, are you up here? Superman? Ugh, get off my leg, you little sleaze. Hey, Superman. Oh, no. After I worked out how to get up here. Krypton? And then he gets punched. Do you know I almost believed that you were going to kill me? How stupid of you to hesitate like that. Because remember, Superman is a code, doesn't kill anybody, right? Not a mistake that I'll make, I assure you. Excuse me. But I think this is yours. Almost intelligent, huh? So he drops the Black Mercy onto him. Dun-dun-dun. And he swats the thing aside, reducing the boy to ash with a twitch of a circuit. And so, but that's in his dream. And so meanwhile, Robin saves the day here. How's that for some sidekick power, huh? Always need a friend to help you out. And then he rips the Kryptonian's head from his shoulders, laughing at the way that his eyes roll for long seconds after death. So this is in his dream, right? And then what's actually happening is he's in a trance and he falls down. And then he places it on a spike and goes out to trample a world, carrying it before him, his hideous standard. It's over. Yes, magic is Superman's weakness, which is why Zatanna is very useful and very helpful when it comes to such things, right? And then later, well, how do you feel? Superman asking Batman. Still a little shaky. It was so strange. I was married to Kathy Kane and we had a teenage daughter. I'm a little envious. It must be wonderful to find out what your heart's desire truly is. Mongo looks like he's having a pretty good time. What are you going to do with him, Superman? I'm going to put him somewhere secure. What do you mean, build a prison or... Not exactly. Have you ever noticed that black hole as you come in the western spiral arm of the galaxy? No. I can't say that I have. It's quite large. I think I'll drop him into it. Cal, now that we've broken the ice at your birthday party, can I give you this? It's an exact duplicate of the bottle city of Kandor to replace the real one, which was enlarged. The Paradise Island gemsmith made it. You need an X-ray and microscopic vision to really appreciate it. Why, Diana, that's really just... So he takes it. What does he do here? I don't know what he's doing here. Just what I always wanted. I'm glad. You must have really missed the old one. Happy birthday, Cal. And then they kiss. Oh my gosh. It says happy birthday. And then Wonder Woman and Superman kiss. And then Superman says, why don't we do that more often? And Wonder Woman says back, well, I don't know. Too predictable? You're probably right. Jason and I brought you this new breed of rose named the Krypton, but I'm afraid it got stepped on and, well, frankly, it's dead. Well, don't worry about it, Bruce. Perhaps it's for the best. Come on. Does somebody want to make coffee while I clean the place up? And then they go off to enjoy the rest of Superman's birthday. And then the epilogue. We basically have the fact that our bad guy is content in his own dream world and Superman's just going to drop him off in some black hole somewhere. And so that concludes that of Superman, written by Alan Moore and illustrated by Dave Gibbons. So thank you guys for joining me. We learned a lot about Krypton and ended on a really happy note. And Wonder Woman and Superman have a little kiss there. And I love that little comment being like, why don't we do that more often? And just being like, oh, maybe it's a bit too predictable. And Alan Moore is anything but predictable, even when it comes to a Superman story. All right, guys. So I thank you guys for joining me for that reading. That was a special one. I wasn't quite sure when I was going to get around to reading that. Thanks, Steven. So next time you can catch me for the live comic book reading will be tomorrow. So the schedule coming up is tomorrow in the day. I'm probably going to play Arkham Knight as Batgirl. We're gonna do some Astro as well in the day, talking about like life as an RPG game, that kind of stuff. And then at 11 in the evening, Eastern time, Toronto time, I'm going to do the start of the reading of Promethea. Actually, you know what? I might start with the piece in Dune that I want to read you guys, which deals with like the water of life that Jessica takes for her to become a Reverend Mother on Arrakis, because that shouldn't flag the restriction. So that will be the read for everybody from 11 to about like midnight, and then from midnight on we're going to do a deep dive on Promethea, and that's going to be for subscribers only, just so I can avoid TikTok getting mad at me for certain things and certain subjects that I'm talking about. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. And then on Monday, Jean Grey will be back. We're going to do some Marvel Monday, and I actually have a Miss Marvel cosplay to reveal to you guys. So Miss Marvel before she becomes Captain Marvel, right? And then also the history between like Marvel, Shazam, copyright, meta-human, superhero, a discussion on that, like what we call things, and how copyright has really affected the creative process and like ownership of things and licensing and all that kind of stuff. So that'll be Monday, and then from then on I will have all of the rest of the scheduling up to date, so you can catch your favorite characters and their readings coming up. Okay. Oh yes, just for Promethea. Promethea is gonna be a good one, and I'm very excited to be able to finally talk about it where I'm not like censoring myself, because there's some like juicy stuff in there. Yes. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm gonna log off. It's a little late here, much later than I thought it would, because I started this late because I was talking to you guys, and so thank you so much for joining me as Kara Zor-El, the last daughter of Krypton, Superman's big cousin, right? And of course, protector of this realm, right? And I do feel a strong affinity to Supergirl. And I also feel like on these reads, I hope that I'm sharing stories with you guys that assist you in your own personal superhero activation, because we're living in a crazy time cosmologically, you guys. So what it's going to take is you being the very best version of you, the highest version of you. And it's because the universe is counting on you, right? But not to worry. I got your back, my friend. And so until next time, stay magical, stay super, have a great night.